Good morning, Bellows Falls and Keene. It's Mike and Marty. I'm glad to be back. Had a week off.
Welcome back.
And here we are. Today we're going to have a special guest, Rusty DeWees. He's coming over the internet from some location.
The interweb.
The interweb, somewhere up in northern Vermont. He's trucking along, and he's going to join us here in a little bit. But first, Marty, with local events.
So this week at the Bellows Falls Opera House is Nightmare Before Christmas. This also is a 30th anniversary celebration, like Hocus Pocus was. It is running from 10:27 to 10:31. It's kind of interesting that they're doing a Nightmare Before Christmas right by Halloween, but whatever. But the classic movie is truly a classic. It's The Bride of Frankenstein.
All right.
The 1935 Boris Karloff edition. I watched the trailer for it, and it's just hysterical.
It has
watch.
all of the hits in it. It has the Wolfman. It has Dracula. It has everyone in it.
It does,
great.
and it's got that funky screen, shaky screen. That is sponsored by J.P. Trucking, Hodgkins and Sons. On Saturday, this coming Saturday at Chow Popolo, they're doing their first annual masquerade ball. I have a feeling it's going to be quite an event.
I think so.
They have some great entertainment. There's food, there's music, non-alcoholic beverages, and I'm assuming alcoholic as well, but not those aren't included with your ticket price. Tickets are $75 in advance or $85 at the door, and the event runs from 6 p.m. to midnight.
Okay.
So I have a feeling it's going to be fun. Parks Place is doing their first annual Trunk or Treat on Monday, October 30th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. So you want to wear your costumes. You go down. They're going to block the street off, much like they do for the back to school bash.
Yeah.
They're going to block the street off. There'll be different agencies there, probably with tables, maybe not so much cars with their trunks open. And there'll be trick-or-treating event for kids. So
Great.
A very controlled trick-or-treating and safe trick-or-treating event for kids. A couple weeks ago, we had Safira Shkello. She was in talking to us about a new anti-inflammatory and gut reset and things like that.
Right.
She works with Sojourns. And so from October 30th to November 7th, you can actually help Sojourns. If you use that QR code that you're seeing on your screen right now, you can register for their Gut Reset Summit. And if they get enough people that register for this Gut Reset Summit, they get like a bonus within their apothecary. I think what happens is you might then receive money off if you shop from their apothecary. So it's kind of like a win-win. But I just wanted to bring that up because we do try to do what we can to support Sojourns. They're great. They've been coming in every month and providing us with content and a local provider. Happening on Sunday, November 5th is the last of the Ray Masuko concert series. It's the VSO with Kat Wright. Tickets are available at the Bellows Falls Opera House. I'm going to guess that being VSO and being Kat Wright, they are going to sell out. So if you're thinking that you want to go, you want to make sure that you get your ticket. And that's Sunday, November 5th, and the show's starting at 4, so that's a little bit
early,
unique. I didn't realize that was like 4 o'clock. But prior to that show, on Saturday night,
That's what
is the real show. The real show. The Logger is going to be coming to the Bellows Falls Opera House, and it is a benefit for Parks Place.
Right.
So if you're questioning why the tickets are maybe a little bit more than you're used to going to a Logger show, then you have to realize that it's a benefit. So the money, part of the money is going to help support Parks Place.
And remember, Parks Place supports all of the kids in Bellows Falls and all of the agencies that bring help into people in Bellows Falls. So it's a good cause. You should really get out there and spend the money.
And so we're super excited because without further ado, we actually have Rusty DeWees here with us. Not really in studio, but welcome.
Welcome, Rusty. Where are you?
I'm sitting. Thanks for having me. Mike and Marty. Sitting in my Mac. I have a Mack truck that I literally do shows on the back of it in the summer. So here's the dashboard of my Mack truck, all you people who like trucks. And I'm located, I live in Elmore. I grew up in Stowe. Elmore is near Stowe. I'm now between Stowe and Waterbury, Vermont, north central Vermont, on Route 100, and parked in a place where I know the reception is good, at a coffee shop that I go to because I do business with them.
Great. Like,
So I will, for full disclosure, I have never seen a lager show. So I did my due diligence before the show, and I watched a few interviews that you did, and I'm intrigued. Well, I'm intrigued with a lot of things. So things that people should know: you're a SAG actor, you're a musician, you're a writer. You've done television, you've done radio, you've done movies. So you've done a lot of things before the lager. So can you tell me, like, the genesis of the lager? How did he come about?
Well, simply, I conflate all these little answers. That when I was younger, let's say in the 1920s, in my 20s, I did a lot of theater. I grew up doing theater. One of the plays I did was about Vermont. So I played 3 different Vermonter characters. I grew up in Stowe. I was born in Philadelphia, moved here when I was 7. I've been in Vermont most of my life. But I am attracted to the old real Vermonter, the mindset and the heart set of men and women who came well before any of us. So when I started just writing my own things, and they were stories about my deference to real Vermonters. I put the shows, I put it together at Nerve people 28 years ago. And since I have 3 DVDs and videos at first, I used to do calendars of the lager. So the lager is a character I go around and play. So there are more, who's that guy? Stories, sort of like stories that I do. They're nice Vermonter stories, jokes, do play a little old time country music. It's really good. I work with the audience. It's just a fun time. That was the genesis. When I was young, I did a play that was about Vermonters, and I noticed Vermonters like to see that type of play.
Yeah. So I read in one of the pages about you that you knew Meatloaf, and Meatloaf was actually instrumental in you developing the lager. How did that work?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, like Marty said earlier, before I did this lager stuff in my 30s, I lived in New York City, and I did a lot of national commercials. I did a lot of big movies, small movies, soap operas, TV shows, a couple of Law and Orders, all those type of things. And I learned the craft of show business. One of the movies I did was called Black Dog. It starred Patrick Swayze, Randy Travis, and Meatloaf, and it was a truck driving movie. It's really good. And, it's like Roadhouse, but a little bit less violent. And my part in it's a big time Hollywood movie. I was Meatloaf's right hand man. He was the bad guy. That was Meatloaf's right hand man named Junior. So off the set, it was when I was developing the lager to produce myself as a play. And I was basically, this is what I'm doing, Meatloaf. Wow, what you got to do. And then he kind of told me how to deal with it from a business standpoint. Call up high school gyms and rent them and produce yourself. In other words, I should not get anyone else involved in the producing of it. I can do it all because I'm doing it on a small scale, basically in Vermont, New Hampshire. I don't need to hire somebody to call you guys up and you schedule our event that's right now, to call the Bellows Falls Opera House. I can do all that stuff. In fact, when there are posters put up in the town, not this time, because this show is produced by the people that they're putting on the benefit, I put the posters up in town. I drive myself here. I write the stuff. So he kind of said, keep it to yourself, Rusty. So and he told me some other things about producing. Meatloaf was a cool guy.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm very envious. I've always been a Meatloaf fan, and that you would know him and he would confide in you would be something I'm very envious of. That's something that's cool.
Yeah, watch Black Dog, rent Black Dog or whatever,
okay,
and you'll see Meatloaf in there. Yeah, he was a really nice guy. Had a lot of energy, like you would imagine, but all positive energy.
So this has worked out really well for you, being self-promoting and not having all those middlemen and agents and other people you have to depend on.
It's worked well for me. That's an interesting statement you said. It's worked well for me in the way I wanted to do it. I wasn't trying to be the big time. I wasn't trying to play 5,000 seat theaters or get on the Letterman show. If I had been trying to do that, it would have behooved me to hire someone else to do stuff. So all I had to do was worry about the content, the jokes, so to speak. But I said to myself, I can make this a full-time job for my life's work if I do every aspect of it. I have a bookkeeper, does my books and everything, but if I design the posters, if I did like 7 calendars, every month's photo, I thought of it. I thought of the funny part of it. I hired a photographer. I got the location permission. I did all that stuff. And if you're not doing that stuff, you're paying people a lot of money to do it. So at the rate I wanted to do it, doing it myself was just right.
Yeah, it seems to me, and I bring this up on other things, it seems like it's a Vermont scale. It's a Vermont way of doing things where you sort of do it. You may not be, you're not at the same, you're not playing at the same game, but you're doing it yourself, you're doing it independently, and you're doing it with a great deal of quality.
Well, that's an astute observation, and I should have said before this that anyone listening to your show right now is involved in probably the same type of business, whether they're in New Hampshire or Vermont. My business is nothing different. Is not any different than some guy or girl who has a trucking business or is growing chickens and selling them or making pies. The same thing. Those people are peeling the apples. They're going and buying the sugar. They're putting the tires on. It's the way you do it in small scale, small town America, the way you can do it. And I think it can be done this way. If I went to Bellows Falls right now and walked down the street, people will notice me. Hey, Russ, I saw you back in 2001. You were here. That is important, but probably wouldn't happen if I was in Syracuse, New York.
Right.
Because it's big.
Yes. So
one can do what I'm talking about, and one can do your show and find your audience. Because it's small, man. Small. Vermont is 690,000 people. That's nothing. My sister lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque itself has 650,000 people. And our whole state has 690. So I said this way, and my goal was not my goal, but I said if I can literally touch every Vermonter and quite a few New Hampshire people, whether I go to their store and buy something from them or I go to the high school and talk to the kids, if I can shake the hand of every Vermonter, I have a career. So that was what I was doing, more so than telling jokes and stories. I was driving around Vermont, just meeting people and connecting with them. If I can connect with those people, they will come to my show. If you're selling the best beats around in Bellows Falls, if you see me on the sidewalk, and you don't know who I am, you just say, hey there, sir, I sell good beats. I'm buying your beat. I'm going to try it out anyway. I don't have to, I might not like it, but I'm at least giving you a chance. And that's what you can do in a small place.
So with that being said, I think one of the strengths that I see is the stories. You tell stories and they're relatable.
Yeah.
So how did that become your thing?
Well, growing up, I'm going to be 63 November 15th. So, that was when there were records. There were people like George Carlin records. You could buy comedy records. There were TV shows on that most of America watched. Mm-hmm. The same TV show. And they were really good TV shows. So my ear and my sensibility from the creative standpoint grew up on long form stories. And so the stories that I tell are in the vein of a Mark Twain or something. Or you remember that guy Garrison Keillor?
Yes, Garrison Keillor.
He used to have the show Prairie Home. They're kind of like that. I don't emulate him, and I'm nothing against him, but I didn't listen to that stuff. But then I just was driving back and forth from New York City to Vermont when I lived there for 11 years, and I was just sitting there driving, and I started saying stuff out loud, and it was pretty funny, and it was in the Vermont vernacular and the way the Vermonters think. The way I think the Vermonter thinks, which is very smart, brilliant, simple, and I thought these are pretty funny stories. If I could rent a little cafe and have some friends of mine come, they might get a kick out of it. That's basically what I did. So, to tell a story like sitting around deer camp, or you're sitting around the hair salon or the barber shop, the stories your uncle told, those are attractive. And I like that I chose that at this point in my life, being 63 soon, because, we're not necessarily heading that way more and more. The newspapers are having a tough time, the actual paper part of it. So we're more heading like a TikTok, which I have nothing against, but a 5-second or a 7-second thing. Well, my things are 7 minutes, 9 minutes, 11 minutes, sometimes shorter. So I like that. It's old school.
It is old school. Marty and I were talking prior to this show, and she was describing watching one of your YouTube videos, and you were on a stage, and the background was blacked out, and you were in spotlight. And she said it reminded her of a Shakespearean soliloquy, except for
that's nice.
Yeah,
It was
nice.
It was your one on deer jacking.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That is one that I will do at Bellows Falls. It's and there's a really funny joke at the end of it. I don't know if, and I'm physical too, but that deer jacking joke is about shooting a dummy deer, right? It starts off about shooting a dummy deer. And I just wrote all that stuff. And I wrote that because there was a well-known guy in town that's 28 years ago, who got busted for shooting a dummy deer. So I was just driving home and I put that together, and I had done plays and I'm not a student of Shakespeare or poetry or anything, but there's something in me that I like words and to put them together, and that's called the deer jacking story, and people love that story, and I'll do that on the Bellows Falls State Opera House stage. Which, by the way, I know you'll get to it. I love that Bellows Falls Opera House. Just even outside, the look of it with the big tower, where it sits in the town, and you walk in, and I know they show movies there, but then there's always the people there with the popcorn going and the little juicy fruit things to eat. And then the stage is it's a very simple hall to play. Why? Someone might ask. Because everybody's right out in front of me. They're not like wrapped around me. They aren't sitting way up there. It's far. Everybody you could almost touch. And it's again, intimate. If someone's sitting in the fourth row and they can see the sweat dripping off my nose, I think they're getting more for their money.
Yeah.
They definitely are.
Than if they're watching me on a really big screen, like Taylor Swift. God love Taylor Swift. She's excellent. But if you're sitting so far away, it's cool that you're there. But you're looking at her on the screen, and she's 70 feet high. But if you can smell me and see my sweat, 8-year-old kid, boy or girl, 12-year-old, 10-year-old, this is the first live theater thing they've gone to see. That's going to impress. That would be impressive to them. They won't. I'm not saying they're impressed by me, but that will impress upon them a visceral connection, deeper than, palpably deeper than watching a film. Though, of course, I love watching movies.
Are your characters based? I know you have some characters that you talk about. Are they based on real people, or are they a combination of real people?
This is the latter combination. There's another story about a guy named Little and his one-legged dog, Craig, one-legged dog. So that little guy was based upon a guy who used to work concrete. I used to work concrete about 3 miles from here, actually. And this guy's name was Little. It starts off, I got a friend named Little. We call him Little because he's little. And he says very little. He's got little eyes, little teeth, a little bit of hair up on top of his head sticks up a little. But mostly the reason I call him Little is because no matter what's going on around him, he's always got a little smile going.
Oh.
So that's about a guy, and he didn't have a lot of hair. Oh, no, he didn't have a little bit of hair, the real guy. He had a lot of hair, but I just changed it. And you know where I wrote that first part of that? I wrote that in a subway station on like 77th Street, Upper West Side of Manhattan.
Wow.
Yeah, what a contrast.
An amalgamation. I just made up out of blue hair. Story that I told you, that's a guy that from town, and there's a sheriff in that story. His name is Marshall Bucher, and he's based on a guy that lived right up the road from him. So based on real people.
Yeah. So you have a lot of life experiences too. I mean, just amazing the base you're drawing from. You're a bus driver, a concrete worker. It sounds like you lived in New York for a while as a museum curator or something like that.
I worked at an auction house. The auction
Oh.
house was William Doyle Galleries. Auctioned off fine furniture and jewelry and paintings before everybody's doing it now. But and I was William Doyle's assistant. There was a William Doyle, and I was his assistant for 6 years. He died, and I stayed because I didn't go to New York City to become an actor without getting an actual job. I wasn't raised like that. I actually have the job, and now try to be an actor. So it was a great job, and so I learned a lot about art and business. I learned because it was William Doyle Galleries. There was a William Doyle. So when William Doyle showed up at your grandmother's house to clear out the estate, you were impressed.
Wow.
Oh my God, you're actually William Doyle. And again, that's why I base my job. If you're the Girl Scout, or the Boy Scout troop that wants to have me come talk to you at Thanksgiving or something about business or life, and you call my number or get my email, you call my phone's in the goddamn, it's listed. And you talk to me, a lot of people are like, God, this is really Rusty DeWees. I mean, when you call for tickets, not this show, but when I produce myself, if you call for tickets, the phone number on the poster is mine, and you get my answering machine. But a lot of times I'll answer, and the people are like, hi, I'm calling for Rusty DeWees tickets. I'll like go, yeah, this is Rusty. How you doing? What's going on?
That's hysterical.
Oh my God, that's the way I wanted to do it.
Yeah. That's impressive because we're so used to calling up and either getting a mechanical voice or no voice or some in between. That it's really impressive that you can do that.
Thanks. And when the folks come to the Bellows Falls Opera House, I think it's the 4th of November for the benefit. It's not like if you come, you say to your 15-year-old, hey, I'm going to take you to see this guy. He's funny and he talks about Jack and Deere and everything. And when you come to the show, I'm standing there. I'm not backstage warming up my voice. I mean, I'll be standing there. I come in and out. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? Where you go? Bellows Falls High School? Oh, yeah. What are you, basketball player? Blah, blah, blah. You're paying money to see me. You're not just seeing me for 90 minutes or 110 minutes. You're seeing me from when you step on into that place to the moment you leave. And in fact, if you want me and you got an old grandmother with you, and she's got a cane, I will walk out on the sidewalk and help you put her in the car, and I'll be happy to do it. It's fun.
Yeah.
So what's we have about 2 minutes left. What is your process? Because you tell stories and they're very lengthy stories. Do you have to memorize them, or how does that work?
Oh yeah, well yeah, everything's memorized. I have material up the yin yang, as they say. And, yeah, I mean, people like, how can you memorize all that? Well, while you're out there earning a living, working at Ben and Jerry's factory or whatever anyone does for work, driving the Dolly Madison truck, while you folks are doing that or we're teaching school, I'm practicing memorizing my stuff. So here again, I'm not going to be looking off note papers to get my words. You're coming. So yeah, I mean, but with this show, I'll play it by ear. I'll walk out on stage. I'll probably play the guitar and I'll feel the feeling, and I'll probably talk to people a little bit. Boom! Now I'm into a story, and you don't even know it. And it's a mishmash of mediums that I do on stage live. And I'm not lying. I love Vermont. I love New Hampshire. Bellows Falls. I've always had a soft spot for the way that town looks when you drive down into it. And the Green Mountain Booksellers. That's Pat. Is that Green Mountain Booksellers?
Yes.
They're still there. Pat and Allen. Village Square.
I have known them for years. They sold my books. I have 2 books, so it's just great. They got the cats in there. I love the cats, so it's great. I'm looking forward to it.
We have sad news for you. The cat's no longer there.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
So,
Yeah,
so it died,
Bella
but
the
they
cat.
didn't replace it.
No, they haven't
They didn't
replaced it
replace
yet.
it?
Not yet.
No.
No. So we're down to like 30 seconds. So let's just remind everybody. First of all, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank Rusty.
My pleasure.
It is Saturday, November 4th, the Logger at the Bellows Falls Opera House. You can go to the bellowsfallsoperahouse.org, go to special events, click on the Logger. You have the seats are available. Again, it is a benefit for Parks Place. So it's a win-win. You get a night of entertainment. Parks Place gets some extra funding, which is wonderful. And you're going to literally get to meet Rusty in person
Yes.
Yeah, so I think
just like he said.
Just like he said. So get your tickets, people. Go now.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Rusty.
Yeah, you'll
it was
laugh.
so great
You'll
having
laugh.
you on.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Have a good day.
You too.
And that's
Bye.
it for the feed.
Thanks. That was great.
to them.